Don Mazzella here again for Small Business Digest. We have with us today Andrea Albright. She's going to talk about a topic that's dear to my heart. Um, how should we say it? Flash works sometime, but substance works better. So, Andrea, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Don. I'm so happy to be here, and I love that saying. I've never heard that before, but very powerful.
Well, actually, it's a play on yours. But first, before we go further, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yes, of course. Well, my name's Andrea Albright. I am the CEO and founder of Beverly Hills Publishing, and we are the first marketing firm, publishing firm, and PR firm combined. We are disrupting the $100 billion global publishing industry.
Well, how are you doing that?
Well, we publish books for visionary leaders who are disrupting their industries and who are evolving the conversation. And once we publish in as little as 90 days, we then do the marketing, the PR, the promotion, get them on stages, get them speaking at summits. And what that does is it raises the value of their brand and it establishes them as an authority. So they have 7, 8 figure returns from the book launch.
Mm, well, that's interesting. Your website, before we go further?
The website is beverlyhillspublishing.com. That's BeverlyHills publishing, PUBLISHING.com.
Well, it's a long one, but it helps. But let's stop a minute. My audience is small business. Majority of my audience are companies with under 50 employees. I'm going to start and ask you a question. Someone from that group comes to you and says, I want your services. Well, first, I want to know what questions they should be asking you, and then what questions you ask them.
Well, the first question I ask is, how are you innovating your industry? What proprietary systems or processes have you discovered that are unique, that are revolutionary, that are expanding productivity or creating a better product or service? And that's what is going to position you as an authority. And so really getting clear on what they're doing that's unique and innovative. And then the second question I ask is, are you ready for the spotlight? Because once we publish you, the amount of attention and publicity and opportunities that come to the business leader, they have to be ready for that. And that means emotionally, psychologically, and also their team and their company needs to be ready to expand.
Hmm. But what questions should they be asking you?
Well, they should ask me why traditional book publishing fails, because over 1 million books are published every year, but less than 1% of those books make an impact in the market. And the reason why traditional publishing fails is because it's outdated. Publishers will get the book published, but it takes anywhere from 2 to 5 years to publish and release that book. By the time the book is published, it's outdated. Everything's evolving faster than ever. Markets evolve faster. I mean, we are in the midst of the AI revolution. The pandemic caused an entire paradigm shift. So you can no longer take years and years and years to write your book. You need to publish quickly and accurately so that you can be ahead of the pulse of the way that the market is evolving. And traditional book publishing just doesn't offer that or support that. And they also don't provide any press or publicity to get the book out there and to establish you as an authority. So that's the first thing, is I want to distinguish how Beverly Hills Publishing is different than traditional old-fashioned publishing because the model is outdated.
Well, we're talking nonfiction and we're talking business. Am I correct? We're
That
not
is
talking
correct.
of fiction. We're talking. We're talking. Uh, Last year was the first year that more self-published books um, came on the market than published books, which is, interesting statistic. But now drill down a little deeper. You say they have to disrupt the industry, but um, to do that, they have to sit there and write the book. Do you write the book for them?
Yes, we eliminate all the obstacles and the barriers that would prevent a visionary leader from writing their book and publishing their book. Because if you had time to do it, you would have already done it. And so we actually work through a process of interviews. We interview the author, we get all the information out of their head, and then we use those transcripts and we hire a ghostwriter who turns the transcripts into a beautifully written masterpiece.
Hmm.
So our authors never have to write a single word.
Well, they're not authors; they're just commentators, really. But
Well, the
okay,
author is the one who owns the content, and it's their content, it's their intellectual property because they've discovered it. It's their ideas, their systems, their processes, their stories. We are just drawing it out of them. And then we have professional writers who become, and that's called ghost writing. So the ghost writers aren't mentioned in the book because the author is the one who's creating the ideas.
can you give us an example of a book that you've done recently?
Sure, I have many. What would you
Pick
like to
one.
hear? Sure. So, one of our success stories, which we are very happy, excited about, we positioned her as a more than just a corporate consultant, because that's what she was when she first came to us. Is she was working for corporations, but she didn't have a real niche or a real specialty. I positioned her as the effective remote teams leader, and we published her book, Effective Remote Teams. And now she is using her book to get into major corporations like Google and Amazon. She's being hired by their team, corporate leaders, and she's also making seven figures from speaking engagements because her book is what has opened the doors for these larger opportunities. And it's also positioned her as the authority on a topic and a subject that corporations are desperately trying to fill.
Okay, Andrea, you're talking to the camera. Stay there because otherwise you're going
Okay,
off the side, we've discovered that if you do that, you lose the audience. So please,
understood. I won't look at you. I'll just look at myself.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Uh, Besides, which you're prettier.
Oh, thank you.
So, so in effect, you took someone and made them into a multi-million dollar property or brand.
That's correct. Yes, the book is what establishes the authority, and then getting press and publicity so that they're seen everywhere. That's where corporations, business partnerships, clients, speaking engagements, they all want to partner with the authority in the industry. And that's what the press and positioning you in that way, that's what a book can do.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, a book, yes, it's interesting in this era of TikTok and everything else. You're saying the book is still the catalyst in which you get them. That's interesting. Why do you think that's so?
Well, books are inherently valuable in our society. Whenever you are moving, you don't throw away all of your books. You pack them and you take them from place to place to place. Other than maybe fine art or jewelry jewelry that's been passed down from generations. There is no other value that is just inherently inside of an object. And it's because we know that books are how humanity evolves. This is where information, education, enlightenment comes from. And books have been our, I would say, saviors from depression, from anxiety, from fear, from worry, because one book can change your life forever. I know books have changed my life long before I ever had access to someone who was wealthy or successful or knew how to create success. Books were my first mentors. And if you are anyone who has achieved anything, you know how valuable one book can be. And so that means that authors who are sharing their knowledge, sharing the information with humanity, they are the ones who have the vision and who see into the future and who are able to provide solutions for all that humanity is facing. And books will always be that trusted source of knowledge, information, and how humanity evolves.
That's very interesting because I have a friend of mine who writes for the Oxford Press, and next year Oxford Press is no longer publishing books.
Well, there are books that are, there are publishing companies that are going out of business. And this is where innovation comes in. So Beverly Hills Publishing is innovating the industry. We are marketing, publishing, and PR. Traditional old-fashioned book publishing is dead. It's a dying breed. It's a dinosaur. It hasn't evolved with the times. And so now you need to have more than just a book. You have to have the marketing strategy that's positioned to capture the market, and things are happening faster than ever. So that's why we publish in as little as 90 days, because old-fashioned traditional book publishing that takes years to get a book out there, it's not going to work. We are moving too fast now. We're all connected by digital light 24 hours a day.
Why did you find Beverly Hills Publishing?
I founded Beverly Hills Publishing at the lowest point of my life. I am an author. I wrote many books in health and fitness going back to 2006, and I established an authority brand in one of the most competitive industries in the world. And I went through a horrible divorce, and I was searching for what's next. How do I get out of this depression? And the answer was that I need to serve more. I need to give more. And that's when I realized that if I could be a publisher to other visionary thought leaders, that instead of me publishing my books, which have reached millions, I could now be behind the scenes, and maybe I could help hundreds of millions or even billions of people. And that's when I started my firm, Beverly Hills Publishing. And now I get to be part of making dreams come true, and knowing that the author's life changes forever, but also the audience, because the books that we publish are groundbreaking and revolutionary, and they are lifting humanity up for the better.
Your website again for our audience?
BeverlyHillsPublishing.com, BeverlyHillsPublishing.com.
The reason we always ask them to spell it out is because a couple of our streaming are radio only, and it helps them. But I guess my next question is, I come to you and you decide I'm going to revolutionize widgets, but what does it cost me? And how do you make money, and how do I make money?
Well, we have different packages, and we are very selective because I am disrupting an industry. And so I have to have proof of concept. And so that means you have to be a thought leader. You have to have value to share with your audience that is truly revolutionary. So we are very particular about who we publish and who we partner with, because that's my brand association as well. And if we decide, yes, it is a fit and we could work well together. We have different publishing packages. So sometimes people just want to get the book and become a published author in as little as 90 days. And then people want to do the marketing and go all the way with the press and publicity. And so I recommend that you fill out the application on the website to see if we're a good fit. And then we can talk about different packages that work for your budget and for the timeline. And the way that you make money is knowing that your book is going to be positioning you in front of your target audience from the very beginning. Because I do all the marketing strategy first, unlike traditional old-fashioned publishing that publishes a book and then you go try to market it, but there's no market for it. That's why the model is broken. So I do all the marketing strategy first, and that's what guarantees that there is a market that is searching, that is looking, and that wants to buy it. So then we look at how do we sell as many books as possible, and also what is your back end revenue? What is your back end strategy? What is the offer that you can bring to someone who reads your book? So many of our authors have raised money with their books. So when people ask me, how much money can I make? I say, well, how much money do you want to make? I mean, we have authors who make $1 million from one of their books because the right book in the right hands of the right investor invested $1 million. This is how we get the 7-8 figure returns, is from knowing how do we position your book and your message to attract the highest value from the target audience. And then whether it's speaking or consulting, or if you have video programs or products or software on the back end, I always position it with the business strategy and the business growth. So the way that our authors make money is the book becomes not just their calling card, it becomes the commercial that opens doors for the target audience where they can serve the most and also charge the most. We've increased the price of some of our offers for clients 100, 300% because they were undervaluing their expertise. And once we make them the authority, now the offer at a higher level creates more value and they actually get more return and better conversions because finally the offer, the brand, and the audience all match up.
You have a book of your own.
I do. I have many books, and this is the latest one, Authority Catalyst. It's how to position yourself as the authority in your industry and how to attract media and opportunities, investors, business partners, clients, because everyone wants to work with the authority. The authority has the highest value position and power in our society. And in this day and age, we no longer have kings and queens or emperors and empresses, and we no longer trust our political leaders. Yet we are still looking for leaders to follow. And the authority is one who has been through the journey, who has discovered unique solutions for themselves, and now they're ready to offer it to others. And learning from authorities are the fastest way to skyrocket your success. And so when you ask about like who's reading these books anymore, so whether it's biographies or fiction, this is a specific kind of nonfiction. It is thought leadership. And that's where you get to learn from the authority. You get to learn the fastest, easiest way to get there to achieve success. And this genre of books is skyrocketing because we know that if we learn from the authority, that's how we'll get there faster than we could ever get there on our own.
Well, that being the case, I'll can that question and I guess ask the $64,000 question. How do you judge a disruptive person or idea or a thought leader?
Well, I've been doing this now I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years, and I've been a publisher for almost 5 years. And I've seen thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs and business models, and even people who have written books and who didn't have success with their books. And so you see patterns. You can tell when someone is disrupting their industry, and it always comes from a place of value. They are creating value. You know, the word disruption can be positive or it can be negative, but we look for disruption that then offers greater solutions. And many people resist it, but this is evolution. There are a small percentage of every industry of the people who are driving the entire industry forward. They are the ones who are the risk takers, who are willing to put the time and energy and effort into saying, hey, could this be done differently? Could this be done better? And they're also never satisfied with the status quo. So just because everybody else is doing it a certain way, they believe that with innovation, you will always strive to achieve greater and greater results and make a bigger and bigger impact. So it starts with a mindset, and then you get the passion and the enthusiasm of a thought leader is someone who will never quit, who will never give up, no matter what obstacles they face, because it comes from inside of them. They are meant to share this message with the world. And in many cases, they don't choose it, it chooses them. And so they feel like they are in service and that they have to share it. So there are patterns that I look for and qualities and characteristics of these innovative disruptors, and they're inside of every industry.
Well, we only have a few minutes, 2 or 3 minutes left. First off, one last time, your website for people, and you don't have to spell it this time. Just give it to them.
BeverlyHillsPublishing.com.
Okay. What would you like to leave our audience with?
Well, I hope that you have received value from this conversation. And if you are a visionary leader, I hope this has encouraged you to trust your vision. We need visionary leaders now more than ever. Humanity is faced with fear and superstition and a lot of and bad information. And so if you are a visionary leader who has discovered a new solution, a proprietary process, a discovery that has improved your life, your business life, and you know that it can serve others, then I encourage you to share it, because we need you now more than ever.
Well, on that note, we have to say, Andrea Albright, what a great time together. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It was my pleasure.